Realtree's Midwest Whitetail is brought to you by Cuddyback, Drake Non-Typical, Easton Arrows, Frigid Forage, Fuse, Grizzly Coolers, Hoyt, RK Tractors, Ozonics, Redneck Blinds, Wasp Archery, and Realtree.
Well, it is November 9th, and it's just getting light out here. Me and Hunter today are set up in the stand we actually sat in 2 days ago and saw all the activity. We're set up on our east side of our Tamarack Woods. We can see the neighbor's cornfield out in front of us, and all around us is pretty much a lot of bedding area. Today we have a southwest wind, which is a decent wind for the stand. It's not perfect, but we felt like we had to get in here because our time is limited, and the amount of activity that we've seen over in this area 2 days ago and even yesterday from sitting from a different stand, it seems that most of the deer are just in this area. So we actually already saw a 10-pointer that I filmed last Sunday night. It's a 10 that looks almost identical to what Charmin looked like last year. But that buck walked to the south of us and then worked his way around and into the Tamarack Woods. Brandon is also out here. He is sitting to the east of us and overlooking our Milo patch. So we've seen some activity already, and it should be a great day. It's a little warmer than it has been the last 2 days, so it'll be a good sit. That's Chimpy. Chimpy. Where is it? Where is he? He's out there. He was chasing a doe. Doe came this way. Right there, right there. You see him? Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's definitely 100%. He looked this way. He looked this way, yeah. He's coming. Which way is he gonna go? Are you on him? Are you on him? What? Are you on him? Are you on him? Oh my God. Come on. Well, it's about 8:15 right now, and it's been about a half hour since I shot the buck Jim Beam. He came in perfectly. I grunted a few times and he came right in on a rope. But unfortunately, I didn't have the best shot on him. I think I either hit his front shoulder or a little in front of it. That's the way it looked on the footage. We did get some penetration, and he definitely is hurting. He went in the Tamarax, and we watched him for about 15-20 minutes, and he was just standing there, and he'd walk a little bit, and he was wobbling all over the place, and he finally bedded down in there. We're going to give him a lot of time, because if we did hit him in some kind of vital area, it's going to take him a long time to expire. So we're going to sit tight, and maybe in an hour or so, I can see my arrow down there. We're going to get down and just check the arrow real quick and come back up, and we're going to recheck the footage even more to see exactly where we hit him, but we're just going to give it some time now.
Okay. Well, it is 11:40 right now, which is pretty much exactly 4 hours from when I had shot the buck. We're going to slowly start making our way into where he had gone and kind of start tracking. Just to be safe, we sent Brandon all the way around on the other side of this Tamarack woods, and he's going to sit in one of our food plot stands and just keep an eye on the Tamarack woods just to make sure if he does get up and we push him, he kind of knows where he is, or if he runs out that side of the Tamaracks, Brandon could possibly get a shot.
He's running. Yeah. Stop.
All right, so we came back to the base of our tree. Unfortunately, we bumped the buck. It looks like that he had bedded down where we initially had seen him bed down, and he had gotten up, and it roughly bedded maybe 40-50 yards away from his first bed. There's a decent amount of blood. We did unfortunately find a big chunk of blood clot too, so not sure how much he's going to be bleeding anymore. But when he got up, he ran a little bit, I would say 50-60 yards away, and he kind of just stood there for a while, and then we kind of saw him slowly walk off, and that's when we lost him. But I'm thinking he's going to bed down again pretty soon in that area. He's pretty close right on our property line right now, and then our neighbor's property, so I'm going to give our neighbors a call and just make sure it's okay that we can go on their property, but we're probably not going to continue to track anything until the morning. It is November 10th. It is about 7:30 in the morning, and we are back at the base of the tree that we shot Jim Beam out of yesterday. We're going to slowly start going and kind of get back to where we last had seen him get out of his bed and go from there. Right here.
He's nice. Oh, wow, he is big.
Oh, what a story. Well, here he is. This is the buck that we called Jim Beam. It's finally good to be sitting behind this buck, but unfortunately it just didn't go as we would have planned. Yesterday, about 4 hours after the shot, me and Hunter had slowly started tracking this deer. We thought he would have probably expired in his bed that we saw him lay down in, but unfortunately we had kicked him up yesterday. And when we had kicked him up, he ran roughly 50 to 60 yards to the north of us, closer to the property line with our neighbors. And I called our neighbor and got permission to track the buck this morning. But we figured he had bedded down pretty close to where we had last seen him. So we came back in this morning and continued to track him. And again, unfortunately, he was still alive. And we had jumped him one more time, and he ran off onto the neighbor's land. And we eventually continued to track him, and we found him laying there yet, still alive. I put another shot on him just to end it, and but unfortunately that's really not how you want it to go. As a bow hunter, you want the fastest and quickest shot and death for the deer, but it's just how it goes sometimes. Shots sometimes aren't the best, but when I grunted, he came in so fast, and everything just happened so quick, but unfortunately it was just a little bit forward, and it had totally missed the front leg and went in the main vital area, and hit his opposite leg and broke his opposite shoulder. But we've been following this deer since this summer, and we've had tons and tons of pictures of him in velvet all over our property, and my dad actually had seen him a few times in the Tamaracks food plot. This past Thursday in the same stand when me and Hunter were hunting, we actually filmed this deer in the Tamaracks. We just got a small clip of him. So he's been pretty much our #1 target all year long, and you know, it's so great to finally be sitting behind this deer. What a day.
Welcome to Midwest Whitetail Great Lakes. It's the afternoon of Saturday, November 9th. We're back in the same stand we were in this morning. We hunted the Pines Blind, which is a pretty familiar stand for those of you who watched the Great Lakes show. Had a pretty good hunt this morning. We ended up seeing 6 bucks and quite a few does. Most of the bucks were small. We did, however, end up seeing the target buck that I'm after all day. He came out of the swamp and through the pines. Kind of angled off to our right. He got to around 50 yards was the closest he got. It looked like he was with a doe. He wasn't moving very fast, and there was a doe that was kind of out in front of him, so that's what we're kind of banking on here. We hunted until about 11. He showed up at 10 o'clock. We're back in here now. It's 1:30. We charged some batteries and got some lunch. So with any luck, if he's with that doe, she should come down here in front of us tonight. Maybe try and get some big and beastie or eat some soybeans, but just to kind of come down here and hang out if she's a resident doe. So that's what we're banking on this evening. Got pretty high anticipation here for tonight, knowing that he's in the area. Subtlety. Yep. All day. That was the buck we were here after. That got pretty exciting pretty quick. And we'd had does in front of us all night long. We got in early at 1 o'clock or so, and We had anywhere from 2 to 8 does in front of us all night long, and we were just talking about how we hadn't seen a buck. And we had a good looking, I think, 3-year-old buck that I don't know if we'd had on camera yet. Came from behind us and wouldn't come out. He was right to my left, so we couldn't get any video of him. He finally popped out and just had gotten into the middle of the does. And I looked off to the right, and 40 yards away was a buck. And I knew right away it was all day, so I said, "Is that all day?" And I threw the binocs up, and it was him. And he was limping, too, he didn't have that this morning. We'll probably give him just a minute or two to gather up our stuff, and then we'll go grab him. So here's all day. We named him that because of his personality. He really showed up last year, shortly before rifle season, after we had taken our 2 bucks with a bow, Broken Shadow and Wounded 9 last year. Then it was his time to shine, basically. He's was a heavy-bodied 3-year-old last year, and he was just everywhere. He was on every camera all the time, and he made it through rifle seasons, and he was continued to be on every camera in through the late season. So we figured he'd be around this year, and sure enough, he was one of the first bucks to show up in the velvet. And really, as a 4-year-old, came back again with a huge body, and was continued to be on the cameras all the time. We had him and a couple of other good bucks, 4-year-olds, early in the season on camera, but as soon as the velvet came off, really, he ran off all the other bucks and just patrolled this property just continually. So we're going to get him taken care of. Really happy to get him. He was the buck that we wanted to get the most. Good amount of history with him. Like I said, it kind of makes it fun when it gets personal, that there's a specific buck that you're after. We've got some other good bucks on another property that we're probably going to start hunting for my dad. So now I get to be behind the camera. I've got 3 more days here to do nothing but run camera for my dad. So hopefully we can bring you 2 hunts on this week's episode. But real happy with this buck. It's always fun to make a nice shot. It's an easy shot, but that's part of why we love the blinds and love the setup that we've got. It's fun to use my first year with my brand new bow, the Helix from White, and first shot ever, using the Wasp mechanical broadheads, and everything worked to a T. So happy with how everything turned out here today. Thanks for watching Midwest Whitetail.